Yeah, it's DC, baby. Well, actually, it's Denver. We are coming to you live from Denver at the ECI Connect Conference happening this week on November 9th through 10th. It's not too late to join us, or hey, just stop by and say hello if you live in Denver. But back to the DC bit. It is the trifecta of the DCs today. We have yours truly, Dave Cooper. We have Derek Coburn, CEO of Lumen Cache, and we have DC Power, baby. Have you heard of Lumen Cache? A platform designed to replace 110-volt AC power with standards that make sense for the DC world. It feeds Cat5 computer wiring to LED lights, the same ones you can buy today. Except you don't need the electronics. You don't need the rectifiers and transformers that convert the AC to DC, so the fixtures should be cheaper and last longer. Made for builders, designed for efficiency, reducing the load and the need for copper. Check out how Lumen Cache is rocking the home of tomorrow today. This isn't your grandfather's electrical panel. No, sir, indeed. But we can't bring you any of these awesome conversations without our sponsors. So a big shout out to Forward Solutions Group for allowing us to deliver these examples of construction innovation. Forward Solutions Group is successfully driving companies to succeed where others have failed. Learn more about Forward's recent acquisition, ModuCore, an ERP solution for offsite manufacturing. Contact Ben Hershey, ben@forwardsolutionsgroup.com. And of course, we can't forget our good friends at Howick Ltd. They have a long history of innovation in cold form steel manufacturing, and they produce innovative precision roll forming technology for customers throughout the U.S. and the world. Check out their machines buyer guide for off-site modular construction or fast build construction with light steel for framing. Go to their website at howickltd.com. All right, I know we're a little early. It's not Wednesday, special Tuesday show because we're live on location tomorrow. So make sure you put it on your calendar. If you want to see what the ECI Connect event is all about, we will be doing a live walkthrough at 11 a.m. Of course, internet providing us access to do that, which is sometimes hard. But without further ado, let's hop into this awesome conversation and bring in Derek Coburn. Derek, what's up, man?
How are you? What an amazing introduction. Thank you.
Dude, I am doing amazing. You know, fighting a little bit of a cold. I think the world is. But listen, where are you located right now?
I am in very overcast Shenzhen. I live in Shenzhen, China, most of the year. Yeah. This is the electronics capital, manufacturing capital of the world.
And how long have you been in China now?
7 years. And all I can say is I've lived here in China 7 years. That's all I can say in Mandarin. Here they don't speak English. They don't speak Mandarin. They speak volume.
Right.
Like everything has to be in just massive quantities and volumes. It's a pretty amazing place. But it's quite beautiful though. Yeah.
I love it. And you went there because, of course, you are in the electrical environment, and it makes sense for everything that you're doing. So before we hop into Lumen Cache, before we get into the presentation that you have for us, let's learn a little bit about you. We want to know everything about you from the moment you were born to this very moment in time. Do not leave out any of the good stuff from the hospital, or we will bring somebody on this show that knows you very well, and that might be a bit embarrassing. But you only have 2 minutes to do it, and then we're going to hop into what Lumen Cache is all about. Go for it.
Well, I'm not transparent at all. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that a lot of people know about me, that's for sure. It's almost like I was engineered for this, by the way, because, as we joked about, my initials are DC, my sister's initials are AC, and my father's initials are FCC. So, Federal Communication Commission. So, yeah, and I basically started out, very strong computer science background. I wrote and sold my first software when I was about 14, which was a long time ago. And then got a mechanical engineering degree in college because I was bored of that, and then fell right into building automation. So my first job, I ran a big 50-building pharmaceutical campus. And what I learned was that, these experienced building operators were retiring, dying. This is a group of people that were just kind of, all of their knowledge was going with them. And so, fast forward to now, the AI and machine learning and technologies like that have kind of been, they're able to, operate buildings. And so that was actually one of the reasons why I ended up creating Lumen Cache. There's other good reasons too.
Yeah, I bet there is other good reasons. Why is it taking so long for DC to catch on in homes? Is it the lack of technology? You know, kind of walk us through because it makes sense, right? We talk about you hear it on the news all the time, right? California just said we got to save power, we got to save energy, or we're going to have a blackout this weekend, right? But on the other hand, they're saying you got to have electric cars too. So at some point, this has to make sense, and we got to start using it. Yes.
That's an awesome question, and I mean, talk about a deep rabbit hole too.
Yeah.
This is a well you just opened up because, but we can simplify some things. So physics is in DC's favor, okay? And I just looked up like doorbell transformers. I was trying to think of something that everybody would relate to. A doorbell transformer, an AC one that you typically find, usually it's warm, right? That's about 2.7 watts running 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. To the average homeowner, that costs about $3.80 a year to operate. So it's like a cup of coffee. So nobody really
Right.
cares about it, right? But collectively, 85 million doorbells in the US is like 300,000 automobiles on the road. It's an incredible, it's a huge impact. And so I was looking these things up and I said, well, what's the current cost of a regular transformer? And so a transformer is like 12 to $14, I think. And then I looked up a similar 40 watt DC
Yeah.
regulator, and it was $6. So it just goes to show, like, all of these products. I mean, it's not a big hunk of iron anymore that you have to mine all that materials and build. It's like tiny little
Right.
electronic pieces, which are a fraction of a penny each. So it's just, and by the way, high voltage DC has dominated the long distance power lines. So that whole argument about like, oh well, Edison was wrong, Tesla was right. It's like, yeah, 120 years ago, correct, he was. That was the best thing that could ever happen to the industrialization of the world.
Mhm.
But things have changed, and so
Wow.
for
Is there a future for DC power to be used over long distance?
Oh, absolutely. So DC actually uses more of the conductor. And so high voltage DC, if you look up HVDC, you'll see like the connectors that go between grids are
Yeah.
all high voltage DC because it's actually easier now to step it up to, 1.5 and 2 million volts DC and then, send it really long distance over small wires. And you don't even need to be as high either because you don't have
Right.
I don't want to get geeky, but there's no capacitance between the ground.
Got it.
So it's just, yeah, I mean, DC makes so much sense. And then when you scale it down on the complete opposite end, I mean, think about it. If you buy an iPhone today, right, it doesn't even come with an AC adapter. It comes with a USB charger, plug cord. And so it's like DC has absolutely dominated at the bottom level, and everything inside, they're all DC. Like, LEDs are all DC. A
Right.
visual
Right.
aid, right? You need, when you buy a light, you get a light and then you get the driver, and these two things, this thing is converting the AC to DC, and then it's just plugged into the back of the light. So you're always going to see these two pieces when you have an LED light or any device that matter. Almost all of them, exhaust fans, all the good ones are, DC motors. Big DC motors now are also becoming really popular because they save 40% energy. So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just, it's just the world hasn't realized it yet.
Yeah, like I love that, right? There's a T-shirt for you. Well, listen, it makes sense. I mean, it's all over the news that we have to save energy, we got to save power, right? All of those things. So, all right. So, where did the passion come from? I mean, nobody just wakes up and says, I'm gonna invent something that can be used in the home building world. That's going to be all DC power. Tell us how you got into this, and then let's hop into your presentation once you do that.
Sure, sure. So 2011, I was looking at these little Bridge Lux LEDs, and they were kind of a special module. They were, I don't know, 20 or $30 each, I think, just for the chip. And they were 50 lumens per watt. And they said theoretically at that time, 2011, that we could reach 140 lumens per watt. Now you can buy chips that are 300 lumens per watt. It's just the LEDs are the real hero here. All I did was realize, like, well, okay, if that's the case, then lights are not going to be powered by 12 or 14 gauge copper. That's a ridiculous amount of copper for that low amount of power. And that's, if you've got 2,000 feet of copper in a house, 1,200 feet of that is for lights and switches. So you're talking about an enormous difference in copper. Copper right now, by the way, you should rename your name, David Copper. It's
Yeah.
it's
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 worth money?
I mean it's $9,000 a ton for copper right now. And
Yeah.
because you've got heat pumps going everywhere, you've got electric cars going everywhere, everything is being electrified. So copper is in huge demand. And it is extremely good at being recycled, but that's not going to meet the demand. So, in a lot of ways, anything you can do to reduce it. And this low voltage lighting as a general field makes a lot of sense. There's some very unique things that LumenCache does that makes it the most open platform. But in general, I think everybody should be kind of leaning towards this just for the copper savings alone.
Right, right, right. Well, love it. Let's say hi to a couple people here, and then we'll jump into the conversation. How about it? We got
Sure.
we got some people joining us. Greg Ugaldi, nice job with the live DC update from Denver. Dave and Jen. Yeah, love it, love it, love it. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate that. Always good when Greg joins us, head of the National Association of Home Builders, immediate past chairman. Or no, now it's past chairman. I don't know, he's had so many titles, man. It's hard to keep up with him. Mark Willie. Mark, man, I missed you Friday, man. How you doing, Mark? Great to see LC at FiasCon. Love it, love it. He said it was a great question, Dave Cooper. What do you call a stolen hashtag Tesla and Edison? Sometimes I just don't know where the guy gets it from, but he's witty and quick. What's up, Nolan Brown? Why did that go? Nice, Derek Coburn, he says. All right, these are some people you may know. Functional automation. LumenCache will save 75 million watts over the next 20 years at a law firm building we just finished. No kidding. So it's in a law firm building that they just did?
That's Hans Funk. Yep. They're just in the process of trimming that thing out, and it is great. Actually, that one's really unique, by the way, because they had fluorescent lights.
Yeah.
Then they replaced them all with brand new AC LED lights. This is before he had learned about LumenCache.
Yep.
Then one of the hurricanes hit, and so it wiped out the building. And so now they're actually going to have a third set of data because they took measurements on each one of those iterations. And so they're going to have actual comparisons of the exact same building with the same light levels, 3 different technologies. That's a really exciting one from Hans down in Louisiana. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Hans. Thanks for joining us, too. Matt Bloomquist, the hottest teacher out there. I mean, this guy's winning awards across the country. Hello, all students installed LumenCache. Awesome. So, Matt Bloomquist students are learning LumenCache?
It was great. He got a low voltage technical company to come in and teach the students how to terminate the Cat5 because, that takes a minute.
Yeah.
With the easy connectors, which you can use, by the way, those, 55 to 60 seconds per tip, basically. So he taught them one day, and then they pretty much installed the majority of the house the next day, and they've just got a little bit left on that thing. But it just kind of shows like the learning curve on this is significantly faster. You don't have to learn the whole 860-page National Electric Code. A lot of electricians like it for that reason, by the way. Some fight it, some are kind of like, oh, you're taking my job, but a lot of them are like, well, this is great. I can throw that, lighting stuff off to the, other guys.
Well, there's not you're not taking their jobs. There's not enough of them out there to do all the jobs.
Exactly. That's a big thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got such a shortage of electricians, and electricians are needed to do the high voltage stuff. You cannot have average people doing that kind of stuff. That does take training and experience. But lighting now, it's a commodity, and to be able to just kind of go click click and not get hurt from it. Like there's nothing you can do to get electrocuted or hurt or even let the big poof of smoke out. So I don't know what we're going to call the electricians in the future that install LumenCache, because you can't call them Sparky because they don't spark anymore. So
this is true. I mean, so I think the big takeaway on this is this allows us to do more with less. In other words, unskilled labor, people that are not electricians, that have not gone through that process, can learn this and efficiently install it. And then you could have one electrician that maybe oversees everything just to make sure things are going in the right direction. So why don't we hop into, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, when we're talking about builders and trades and such, there's, when you're looking at a builder, what does he care about? He cares about, schedule, cost, and quality, right? Those 3 things. And schedule is affected by so many things, whether it's the training of the people, the availability, like if you can't get your Sparky in there in time, right? You got to seal up the walls, you got to have that done. But, when it comes to schedule, you got the available trades, For cost, you might have supply chain issues. For quality, you've got, wireless, for example. A lot of builders used to always think like, oh, wireless is going to solve everything. They've been saying that for 30 years.
Right.
And it's the same, it's the same round, circular argument. So yeah, like one thing after another, it's beneficial. But this truly was designed for builders. It's not about the end user. The end user gets all kinds of benefits afterwards. But the key is, how does this thing make the builder's job faster? And you talk about
Right.
offsite construction, right? Offsite construction, the fact that you can, pre-cut and pre-tip these wires. So if you're building, 100 or 200 modules, just have a whole harness built. Get get
Love
it
that.
all numbered, throw it in. So yeah, lots of benefits for the industry in particular.
Well, I mean, the auto industry uses harnesses. I mean, to me, it seems like something that you could outsource to a Lumen Cache or somebody that can build the harness, take the wiring diagram, build the harness, and then you can have the labor right on the lines be putting it in as the modules are rolling down, and then just being oversaw by the electrician that's
Yeah.
bringing the high voltage in. Yeah, makes sense.
And we were talking about how good your process is. By the way, anybody who doesn't know, if you've ever been on Dave's show, his processes behind the scenes are incredibly organized, and it's wonderful to follow. And
Thank you.
and the top builders, of course, do the same kind of thing, right? They're on top of each one of the processes, and even the design of a Lumen Cache system. While you can definitely wing it, it's quite easy to wing. But we've got these really cool design tools where you just drag and drop. So if you send us a set of plans, for example, it only takes us about 45 minutes to an hour to do a full system design. And so
Right.
the quote with every single piece is included, the complete system design, and it's even going to be doing operation in the future. So for example, we're making tools where it's going to help you monitor the progress of the project. And because you can install the low voltage wires and activate them before you've got any CO, now you can use the permanent wire as your temporary lighting. So, there was an electrician in Indy who had said to Ryan Geltz, who's the dealer there in Indianapolis. He said, "Man, this could save like $30,000 to $40,000 per project just in the temporary copper alone." So
Wow.
because
Yeah.
because you can activate the wires, right? So if you put the low voltage thing in, you put old crappy reuse lights in, and then now the trades have, everybody's got lights. Everybody will love the lighting guy for once, you know.
So you're not only saving on the copper, you're saving on the voltage and the watts, I guess, that are being drawn. So you're putting less pressure on the infrastructure, especially on bigger buildings as well. I love it. Let's get into the slide deck. Why don't you walk us through this?
Oh, sure. So this was one that we did. We were part of the cohort for Impel, which is a DOE-sponsored clean tech event, and I was very happy to be accepted into that. And this deck is nice because it kind of tells the history of Lumen Cache. So this is a fascinating stat. I mean, the amount of construction materials is going to be like adding a whole new New York City every month in the next 40 years. And as we discussed, copper cost alone is at 9,000 a ton, and the fact that EVs and electrification, all of that is stressing it. So 60% of a typical home wiring is lights and switches, and these loads contain a fraction of power. So a better way to do it is to use something like this, where you have essentially low voltage wires, Cat5 standard wires, and they connect to all the lights and switches and other things. You can do exhaust fans, ceiling fans, etc., USB outlets. And what's nice too is that you can add sensors to this quite easily over time. Now, a lot of competitors are trying to do this. It's not like it's a new thing. The important thing is that there's many standards too. And so it used to be we said there's no standards for DC. There's too many now. And I think that they're all missing the mark because this is what we're trying to fix, right? There's the AC/DC Tesla Edison
Yeah.
issue everyone's talking about, right? But it's not about one standard. It's the ability to adapt. What we really want as builders is to deliver a home that like anybody can do whatever they want to do in it after you turn it over, because that's what AC does now. It's been around for so many years. But we want something where the hardware can kind of evolve as quickly as software, because of course you can download new software anytime. And millions of dollars have invested in smart grid sensing, grid interactive buildings, demand response, even that the prioritization you mentioned early on about how we've had grid outage problems. And what's funny is the utilities have learned like, oh well, I can just tell everybody, hey, cut back. And so the utilities have a whole, different motive now. They're just kind of like, we really don't have to pay you guys if we just ask you nicely.
Right.
But having data really starts to solve that problem. So what we made is this architecture. And what it does is it allows you to take any kind of power source, because we don't know what we're going to have. Could be AC, DC, solar, some new technology. We want to have a modular gateway so that we can put it in any region, and the apps and services plug into that. It all plugs into one basic backplane. And then these little modules plug into this backplane, and everything plugs together, ties out to the devices in the field. This is the intellectual property. This is what our patent is about. It's the ability the way these things connect, but it solves all of these major challenges. The biggest one that always burned me up is the rapid obsolescence of products, right? Why don't builders put any smart products in? They hate them. And the reason why is because, it's like, there's a really beautiful light switch company, Oro, that made them, and they won, the product of the show, a tech home builder, and then they're out of business literally the next week. And it's unfortunate, but even if they didn't go out of business, they might have just simply replaced it, or the VC told them, hey, time to exit. So this obsolescence in technology is really effective, or really most evident in wireless, right? This is a constant mess. And I love this one because, Matt Reisinger here, he was doing his low voltage show, and he was saying like, yeah, I don't like to use wireless because they're not super reliable. And that's true, so builders don't like to do it. And if builders aren't going to put it in, then, it's going to be dumb AC light switches. And, Matter is the next generation, just basically trying to solve the same old problem over and over again. By the way, I am going to support Matter in the new product.
Well, tell us real quick, who is Matter? I'm not familiar with Matter.
Oh, so Matter is so the CSA, the Connectivity Standards Alliance, has created a whole bunch of a big consortium of major vendors, and they're all saying they're going to join together in one protocol that'll be the one ring to join them all together. There's already complaints about it. It's already bloating up a little bit. And like I said, it's not the first time this has been tried. But it's better. Every year it does get better. I don't want to complain about it, and I wouldn't want to be without wireless because I love wireless stuff. It's super convenient, and it's needed for existing homes. So what we're trying to do is we're saying, okay, if there's 1.8 million home starts a year and only 5% of them are putting in smart products, how do we flip that? Like, how do we get this level of smarts into the homes, but be as dumb as it needs to be when it starts, because that's what the industry wants, right? And so what we did was we listened to builders. We had to bridge that gap, and what we found is through these research, this is what they want: reliable operation. The first time I talked to someone in 2012, they're like, "Oh, that's cool. Yeah, come back to me in 3 years." Right? That's a typical builder reaction. And then, okay, so how long does it last? I mean, these are wires behind the walls. You don't want to be tearing up wires after 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Tearing up the walls. And they all have budgets, let's face it. So, price parity. Do they need special technicians? No, they don't want to have special technicians. They want anybody to be able to do this. No service contracts. And I think one of the biggest things, but it was actually in this order, was, can I use my own fixtures? Can I use whatever fixtures because the designer does it and he or she wants to have all these things? And so that was really important, that list. And so what we ended up doing was we made this proof of concept. And Dave, you and I were laughing about at the beginning of the show because this is called Libre, but the original name was Legacy. I named this deliberately at the time because it was just supposed to be proof of concept. I figured 2 years, some VC would pick up on this and we'd be launched. Right. Didn't happen. So what do we do? For 10 years, we just kept selling this, and this, I call it the crappy prototype, but it works fantastic. So we sold, almost $2 million, the original prototype, still running in buildings since 2012. And we made switches and lights and touch pads, basically just the bare minimum we needed to prove the concept work. This is one of my favorite implementations of it, by the way. It's in Ladakh. It's in up in the Himalayas. But it's in bus stops. This is a completely solar-powered, USB charging smart bus stop in Mexico. Wow. This is a LEED Platinum in Montana. This one is an Indianapolis home, California home. This is a wellness center, one of 2 wellness centers in Ohio, done by Forest City Enterprises. And after these, they did 5 apartment buildings. And one of the cool things was because of the power factor. I don't know if you know, but power factor is like a 20 to 30% loss of energy. It's just gone because of AC, the way AC needs power factor correction. But we don't need power factor correction, so they didn't need a new AC circuit to go into the closet. And this one closet does all 5 floors of the building.
Yeah, I wish my life
That's
was that organized.
yeah, they did. The electrician did a nice job
Yeah.
there. Yeah, you can always tell a commercial electrician; they do a beautiful job usually. And so this is again, these are really old. This one's from 2015. It was funny. This one, I had called Brookfield Properties owns this now, and I had called them up about 2 years ago because it's been in place for 5 years plus. And I said, hey, how you guys doing? I never, everything okay? And they're like, oh, we put so many new technologies in that building, and we had nothing but problems, except looming cache. He's like, your system, it just works. It's
Yeah.
and that's the point. I mean, lights should be boring, right? If done well. This was the first project, very tight and tidy there in Zhuhai. And then this one, anybody
No,
recognize
that's
G-Pod?
Andrew. Look at that guy, man. Somewhere in
Is
Texas.
it? Yeah, yeah. So Andrew went through about, I think, I don't know. I'm gonna say more than it is. I'm just gonna say he went through 5 lighting designs.
Yep.
But he's got such a good feel for the design and the aesthetics of the place. And Lumen Cache can meet every single need. Whatever he came up with, it's like, oh yeah, here's how you do that. Oh yeah, here's how you do that. So that one was fun. So we've had projects throughout the world. So people say, well, why aren't you filthy rich? And the reason is this: we didn't check all the boxes. Like, you've got to make every single one of these things has to be there. You've got to have price parity. We've got to have wide fixture collection. So again, still no go. So here's what we did now. This is what's coming out this year. Very exciting. I want your audience to see it. We start off with a basic low voltage box. We installed what we call the power plane. That has a regular AC DC adapter in it. So you don't need solar. You don't need anything special. You can just plug it into your regular power system. Then the PDM, that power distribution module, just slides right into place there. There's no
Wow.
tool. There's no tool from here to here, by the way. In fact, none of this has tools except the electrician installing the outlet. Then you put the wires in place and the Cat5s. And then if you want, you can expand it with the gateway, which can do even more functions. But and it just expands, get bigger and bigger. This is a large enclosure. Very, very quiet fans. And so with this product, and we can talk deeper about why it's so unique too, but we finally started to meet all the needs. The only thing we needed to do was to get it kind of like every kind of fixture you need. So remember I said earlier, if you go down to Home Depot or Lowe's or your local electrical outlet, pick up 5 lights, and 4 out of 5 are going to be compatible. So we really didn't have to make lights first. All the lights on the shelf are already below 48 volts. And so like Lotus Lights, for example, has been a great partner. All of their lights are compatible. They just get rid of the AC adapter, plug in what we call a SIB, a smart interface block, and that was it. So, this is really what kind of finished off the whole thing. And it's a big market. You're talking about a $200 billion market just for lighting alone. And
Right.
and we laughed earlier. You asked me, it's like, why is it that it took so long and everything? And basically, Bill Gross did a great study. He found that timing was the most important thing. And we were perfectly on time, just 8 years too early. So the nice thing is that now we've shown and we've demonstrated to builders that this is a longevity product. It's a longevity company.
Yeah.
And what we're going to start to show this year is the first of 4 new brands. And those 4 new brands cover everything from First Energy applications. The Renetta and Epic lines are for the main markets in North America, for example. And then, it goes all the way up to, hospitals, yachts, marine specialty things. So anyways, we've got, all kinds of accessories, just the basic stuff, though. This isn't, all these extra fancy things, except for this. Passive House, of course, can produce the biggest savings, right? But Passive House, you have to make sure the humidity and CO2 levels are good. And if there's a problem, let's say your exhaust fan fails, or you've got a mechanical failure, filter fouling, for example, then you might have a problem. And so we're embedding the temperature and humidity, CO2 level, a couple other sensors right into the light switch, into the touch switch. And that's why we use that great tagline of put a little active in your passive. So anyways, it's just huge savings. Again, getting back to that copper, such an important thing.
So,
but anyways, that's the deck.
what's the availability of this?
Okay, so the first peaks is going to be in about 4 weeks, and then February.
4 weeks. So we're launching on Dave Cooper Live right now. 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
On this
you're going to see the first pieces in action. I've got them actually working on my desk. I just have to. I got to get the clothes on them. Yeah, so it's all bugly. It's circuit boards and things, but it all gets packaged together, and then we're going to have that first looks like, works like, and then after that, February, as I said, we'll go into full production. We gotta stretch out as much testing time as possible, and of course, you got to do the UL certificates, and this isn't going to have just low voltage lighting. So the original Libre product has UL 2108, which is low voltage lighting system. Mm-hmm. But the Gen 2 is really cool because they can support all kinds of different cards. So for example, this one, these will all be inside of these pretty little boxes with the product, the blue boxes you see behind me here. But the card inside, we've got CCT, so they all have, at a minimum, they've got a selector switch. This is replicating what you used to have in your AC world, right? In AC world, you would buy a light, and then it's got the little color changing, but it's up in the light. It's in the ceiling. So like if your customer buys the house and they're like, I don't like that light color. Okay, all you have to do is take the lights down, change the color, and then put the lights back up. I mean, that's a royal pain in the tuchus. Yeah. With LumenCache, it's right here. You just change it in the closet, and you can change it in one room and not another. So this is like the most basic card. This is what a builder might buy. I don't care about all the fancy stuff. I don't even want dimming. All I want is, I want the fact that I can change color temp. That's nice. But the customer can then say, well, cool, I really love human-centric lighting, and I want my morning to be cool and then my evenings to be warm so I can fall asleep better. So they'll just take a different card and pop in a new card, and instantly have HCL lighting. So, I mean, think about trying to do that with the AC world. You would have to put in a different kind of light. Most likely it's going to be a wireless light. You got to, connect it to the wireless, and then maybe they change their phone, and then it's no longer paired to their phone, and so you've got to change that again. All that stuff goes away. Yeah, and that's just one card. I'm not even talking about, we've got PoE 802.3 AT, 802.3 BT, the list goes on and on. DMX, Dolly.
So here's what I love about this, right? For us older folks, that may sound complicated, right? But the reality of it is, for those of us that have kids, and to myself, because I play in technology all the time, they're switching out game cards inside and building PCs like it's nothing. This is just simple stuff. It just, it's really simplified once you understand how it works. And like you said, you can't hurt yourself. It's plug and play, and you can change what you need to change when you want to change it throughout your entire system. That's what I'm hearing, right?
The Gen 2 is plug and play, and that was critical. The original one, you can wire it up incorrectly. And if you do, like, there's certain combinations where if you've got a certain type of driver and you have a really small strip, for example, a constant current driver with a small strip, you could pop the strip. Or if you have a certain thing, you might pop the fuse. So it won't blow anything up, you won't burn a house down, but it's an inconvenience. And again, everything that, if you're on a job, you want to finish it up. So it really wasn't practical. So that's why we didn't push it. Yeah. But the Gen 2 is 10 years of experience and learning. And, really it's completely Lego-like. It's just, these cool modules, you just put them in. As soon as you put it in, it identifies what this thing is. It talks to the device, it talks to the light. In fact, the logo, right, our cool logo represents the ability to see through the wire at what's on the other end. And that's a big part of what the product does. So when it's so plug and play, it's just like chunk, plug it in. In fact, it's kind of funny, but my, Zoom light here is controlled by LumenCache. So, I can do it on my phone. And, that's like, wow, big deal. Everything can do that. But I mean, it's like the most important thing that builders want is reliable lights. I just want to hit the switch and I want it to work. And I don't want dimming because customers don't like dimming sometimes. So, the whole point is that the builder can put it in, not even activate dimming. And then the customer says, oh, you know what, I'd really love to put dimmers in. Okay, so imagine that, right? A low voltage guy would have to come in, maybe change out all the switches, that kind of stuff. No, it's just a setting. And then now you have dimming.
So how does the switches on the walls work? Like when you walk into a room, talk me through that. You said you don't have to
Oh,
change
yeah,
a
yeah.
switch. Like how do you dim it?
Yeah, so the switches
Let
are
me pull
really
it up.
complex. I don't know if you can see it with my
Yeah, we can
background
see
here,
it.
right? So there, that's it. You just plug it in. And then you can go from one thing to the next. So you can daisy chain the switches in any order you want. They're super thin, so you can even fit them in
Yeah.
behind pocket doors. Nice, beautiful, simple Decora shape. And if you want to turn it on, you tap the top. If you want to turn it off, you tap the bottom. That's default operation.
Got it.
No three ways, four ways, X ways. You don't have to worry about that.
And
Top's
then you
always
just
on.
set the dimming, whatever the dimming you want from your phone.
Yeah, so if you want dimming, you just hold the bottom and it dims, and you hold the top and it raises. If you tap the top, it'll go back to the dimmed level. If you tap it again, it goes to full. These are all software things. And again, the whole thing is keep it simple.
I was
Like,
just gonna say it's
again,
KISS, right?
everything is about KISS. Yeah, again, we met the builders where they are. There was such a tiny fraction of builders that said that they wanted any home automation. And by the way, after I did that campus job I was telling you about for pharmaceutical and commercial automation, then next career was I did home automation, and we won the Electronic House Magazine's Home Theater of the Year. So I knew the industry, but it was always that upsell. And I used to always go into them and I'm like, look, just put the pre-wire in. Like, don't
Right.
do it. Even if you don't do anything else, please just pre-wire. And so, now I love it because the guys that have pre-wired houses and they've got that low voltage panel, like I showed in the beginning, you'll be able to take the Gen 2 and put that power plane, it snaps right into a standard
Right.
low voltage panel, plug it in. And then now let's say you've got, 8 Cat 5 wires that go around for networking. And maybe they're dark. Maybe you've never even used them before, but now you can plug in a table lamp. And if you have a power outage, take one of those big luggable DC batteries that are so popular now, plug it straight in, right? So you got DC to DC, there's no conversion
Right.
losses, and you can plug in table lamps around your whole house. And so if you have a power outage, no problem, still got lights.
Just plug in your battery.
Yeah, it's that easy. And the fact that it works anywhere from 12, 24, or 48 volts means it doesn't matter. Any of
Yeah.
those batteries are going to be compatible. Yeah.
Well, Derek, tell everybody how we get a hold of you here. Go ahead.
Yeah, so lumencache.lighting, that's LUMENCACHE.lighting. We're going to have a bunch of new websites coming up, which you'll be able to get to at lumencache.com. And there's a connection there as far as how to send plans in, or just say hi and we'll start the whole conversation with you.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So, Derek, we've been talking for years as you've been working through this process. I'm super excited for you that this is getting ready to roll out. I mean, I know you've been, really, really putting in the time to make all this great. And you have it in the field. It's working. People are using it. Schools are using it. So this isn't just some new product that hasn't been out there yet. You're actually in the market testing and modifying and refining the approach. And I think that's what's so impressive about this.
And safety, by the way, safety is first. I looked at the Hindenburg example, right? I mean, we were set back 30 years in hydrogen because the Hindenburg blew up. And so that was always paramount. It was kind of like we test the old PDM, the legacy one, to 90 watts per port, but we derate it and we only use 50. And the reason for that is good because the wires, we want those wires to last 50 years. You can't have it. I mean, 50 years from now, maybe we'll change it to something else, but that's okay.
That's right.
But it's got to last, and safety is first, the ease of use, et cetera, all that kind of stuff. And then like the fancy apps and things. And by the way, the fancy apps will blow your mind because of what you can do when you have an infrastructure like this. This is where that AI and machine learning and really cool stuff comes in. So, partner apps on top of it. Think Automatic, Stephen over at Think. He's got a predictive AI app that automatically looks at the Lumencache switches and then it learns from your behaviors. So if you do want to do that, very easy.
Yeah.
Just activate the app. Yeah.
Right. Well, here you go. I mean, you're struggling with labor in your manufacturing facility, panelized, modular, whatever you're doing. Here's a solution to streamline that. Need to find a way to quantify the labor savings to install this. I think it'd be a great study. Maybe somebody out there would like to take that on and work with Derek. figure that
Yeah,
out.
thank you.
Yeah, for
Let's
sure.
let's do the math, right? I mean, you've got years and years of math down to the wire nut for
Yeah,
other things. The design tool can get you 90% of the way there, and then just have your teams do 2 projects. And I guarantee you they'll find the same solution everyone else is finding here, that it is quicker, it's faster, it's got all kinds of benefits. And then you can start now, that's your new threshold, right? That's your new level of benchmark.
that's right.
Keep going from there. I'm looking forward to great ideas.
Yeah, I mean, this works from service people in the field, everything that comes along with offsite construction. So, Derek, thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
I love it, everybody. There you are. We are live in Denver, Colorado at the ECI Connect Conference. We will be live again tomorrow, right around 11 a.m., doing a walkthrough through the showroom floor. Internet being nice to us has to be in favor there. But if not, we'll record it and I'll upload it and you'll be able to watch it. So make sure you tune in tomorrow and don't miss BS Friday with our good friend Mark Bear and Naked Willie. Mark is an amazing co-host of mine, and he's smart too. And we got Adam White coming on. So I don't even know what to say about Friday's show. It's gonna be just one of those shows where it can go completely off the rails.
You're going to need extra beer to go with the extra BS.
Good thing Adam White makes his own beer. He has
Oh,
Passive House
yeah.
beer, right? In
He makes
England. We have to go to England. All right, everybody, listen. We'll see you tomorrow. Derek, stay right there. Everybody else, have a wonderful afternoon. We'll talk to you soon. Bye now.